news,
Lobbyists are fed up with politicians accepting their money and then not coming through.
opinion,
When the automated police force orders you inside, that's just them doing their job.
remix.
Even lost my job partially due to the whole global warming issue. Increase in oil prices. This guy's scared.
This is Top Story with Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen,
I've been a listener for about 20 years.
I'm talking to you makes me feel better.
where the news meets your opinion. Pick up the phone and talk about it. 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story, 736-0300, always the number to call. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
And what do you think about this liquid gold falling from the sky?
I love it. I just, on mornings like this, you'd love to just be able to sleep in. You know what I mean? When it's raining outside and it's dark. And
Yeah, or at least have a covered deck so you could sit out and enjoy it.
that would be nice. Yeah. It's nice and warm, which is nice.
Yeah, it's like 64.
But, it's
Seems warmer than that.
just
but
for like
that's
a
not
light
good.
jacket, it's nice.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Anyway,
this
it's
is
always good. It just
perfect weather.
happy I don't have to water my plants.
Yeah.
Tom will be happy because there won't be brown spots anymore. He's always moving the sprinklers and they're giving him trouble. It's like if I had a dime for every time he goes, I have to fix the sprinklers and then we have the hoses.
You have a
and
sprinkler system?
we do, but not everything's always right, or then the mower knocks off one of the things. There's always something with
Oh,
the
yeah.
sprinkler system.
I don't have that problem with hoses.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
now he's
still-
moving hoses.
I'm still the old-fashioned type. I have hoses. That's
We've
kind
got
of the
both.
pits when you have to move them out of the way to mow.
Right.
But on the other hand, I never break one off with a mower.
So we have a combo.
So, I
Hosing
see.
and sprinklers, which
Oh.
tortures my
So
poor
you have
husband.
the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, tortures my poor husband. Yes.
Well, coming up, we have Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans. He'll be joining us at 8:30. We'll be talking about the Saturday meeting and if maybe now Republicans can move on. At 9 o'clock, 9:20.
9:20.
We'll be talking to some folks from the South Central Community Health District about the closing of the Family Planning Clinic in Twin Falls and some other things. Looks like whooping cough is kind of picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't have them in very often, so when they come in, we like to pick their brains about
Why
a lot
not?
of stuff.
Yeah.
So we will be doing that. Lots of other stuff in the news this morning. James Brady,
Yep.
press secretary who survived the head wound of the 1981 assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan and undertook a personal crusade for gun control, died Monday. He was 73.
Mm-hmm.
He will be buried after a 5-day waiting period.
Oh, very funny.
I thought
Yeah,
it was.
I have to say the thing about that whole thing and he got shot and whatever is that Reagan never signed the Brady bill in, never endorsed it for 10 years later or something. And to me, I thought that was really classless. I mean, the guy, was shot with you were, a 5-day waiting period probably would have
Just
helped the
because he
situation.
gets shot doesn't change the U.S. Constitution.
That doesn't change the Constitution. You can put restrictions on things like freedom of speech. You can't yell fire in a theater. But the whole thing about that is I thought that was pretty I just didn't think that was right of President Reagan to do that.
Well, he did keep him in that position and paid him his full salary until he was out of office.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
it could have been worse.
Yeah.
A second American missionary stricken with Ebola is expected to fly today to the U.S. for treatment following a colleague who was admitted over the weekend to Emory University Hospital's infectious disease unit. This is causing a lot of controversy. A lot of people are wondering, why are we bringing people into this country with Ebola? Well, they are U.S. citizens, for one thing. Secondly, they are sick and need help.
Well, yeah, I mean, they say there's no vaccination, there's no this. And you have to wonder, I know the city of Atlanta, they're a little nervous, but just like we would, what if they had them in Twin, and you're like, well, do you feel safe? It's Ebola. There's no cure. It's killed hundreds of people. And you have to wonder, how comfortable would you feel? Although Emory University and the doctors there say that they feel comfortable and they have the quarantine thing in the plane and the suit and you wonder, how did these doctors get it or help her? She wasn't a doctor, but she was a helper. I mean, they were in those suits, and you wonder, how did they get it? It is disturbing. And when you think about it, it just takes one person, like the guy who flew from Liberia to Nigeria. He didn't have the symptoms. On the flight, has the symptoms, which means the entire plane could be in jeopardy.
That would be scary.
Landed in Nigeria and then died. Like, hello. It's very disturbing.
I know.
I don't know. How would you feel if we were bringing him to St. Luke's and we're like, well, we've got this special quarantine unit. No problem. Don't worry about it.
Well, I suppose it would be of concern, but this is a case where I would probably rely on the experts in the field. I mean, I have absolutely no experience in this type of thing, but I mean, you can't just leave them lying outside the border. They are U.S. citizens.
I understand that, but it's also, when they talk about the airports and people going from these areas, it could be a worldwide epidemic quickly.
No question about it.
Quickly. And they're spreading, and when you see where the airplanes are going, and even that one man who was on that flight, how many of those people were going elsewhere? So you wonder, I mean, I'm glad they're going to help them, although I don't think there's really much they can do. I think give them fluids, or they're going to try some experimental drug or something on them.
This reminds me of I don't know which seal it is mentioned in the Bible about this kind of stuff happening in the last days. So somebody will call and say, oh yeah, it's this seal. The rider, the horseman riding with these seals that make things happen in the earth in the last days. It just reminds me of that
Does
stuff.
it? Okay,
it does.
There you go. So, I guess Atlanta will go first then.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning. Okay, coming up a little, there it is, right there.
There we go.
I told you.
Hello.
Ask and ye
Thank
shall
you.
receive. Top story, you were on the air. Good morning.
What is it?
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're talking about them coming in with Ebola. But, when we accepted all of these refugee children and older, because there were older refugees than just children, and I think that was some of the concerns of bringing these children in. I know they said that some of the military that were guarding the children or helping with them, some of them didn't go home to their families because they were afraid of what diseases or whatever they might take home to their families. So I think that was a little bit of a concern.
Well, I think there were
it's a big concern.
But there were some things associated with these kids that they don't even have in their countries. So I think it was well exaggerated. And even someone right now is saying these kids could be carrying Ebola, and that's ridiculous.
There's always exaggeration, but there is a rise in our country there's polio that's back.
I thought they got rid of that.
Yeah, there are diseases coming across our border that
smallpox is another one that's back.
But it's not from the people bringing in, and we'll find out from Cheryl later. It's a lot of people who aren't vaccinating their kids because they're worried about the vaccinations.
That's the whooping cough thing.
Well,
right, but it's the other drugs as well. They aren't vaccinating them at all.
But some of it is coming across the border because they don't
vaccinate.
They don't inject their children over there,
Right.
So we have to face that. I mean, it's not all their fault, but I think that's some of it, kind of the terror of it that people get in their minds. I think that's one reason we've had a lack of compassion for some of these people.
That's a good point. One thing that does disturb me in this whole deal.
Which deal? The Ebola deal or the kids deal?
The Ebola thing is that when are the terrorists going to make a dirty bomb with something like that?
Send a person on a flight who has Ebola. There you go. You don't need a dirty bomb.
I've even thought of that.
But they are at airports. Exactly. They have the temperature sensors and things like that. They've been doing that for years. Because when I flew into Hong Kong, they had. You saw those in the airports. I mean, they were well done.
But you don't have to. You can have it and not have a temperature yet. Because it takes, a week to 10 days or 2 weeks in order for it to incubate.
But then I don't think they're
symptoms.
Contagious at that point.
Well, I don't know. See,
I think the temperature is when you become contagious.
Maybe that's true. That could very
I think
well
with
be
anything,
true.
It's when you have the fever.
But
when
even
it
at
nails
that,
it.
it's almost like we're flirting with death here. Because like they say, with the air travel and such that we have today, I mean, these diseases can travel the world a whole lot easier than
very
they used
fast.
to.
And when you see the map of the planes of where these, the infected countries, and then you see where these flights are going all over the world, you're like, wow, this could spread fast.
And then if you do it intentionally, as a terrorist act, then that just multiplies it even worse. So,
well, somehow you'd have
Wow.
to. I don't know how you would. And
we're all going to have to wear these suits.
Oh,
We're just going to have to start wearing the suits. You know, don't you think that'll help?
You first. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead tomorrow. Get a suit, Cal.
Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Hello, my beautiful Jill. How come you sound so down?
I'm a little tired. Someone texted me at 12:30 last night, woke me up out of a dead sleep, and then I had trouble falling back to sleep. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
I blame it on Kelly Class and his cooties. That's why if I be working with him, I'd be putting my food because I think he's got.
Are you putting bad juju on me, Cal?
Apparently so. That's what we conservatives do. We put bad juju on everybody.
Bad juju on people.
Oh, that was it.
I think he said
all
I
he
just
wanted
sounded...
to do was call me and insult me and then leave. Okay.
I think he said I sounded tired or down, but I actually am a little tired. Which is like, I say that all the time. Between the cat, but the cat's not waking me up the last couple of days, but then someone texted me at 12:30 and woke me up, and then...
So how are we coming with your cat now that you mention it?
It's so embarrassing. No, it's so embarrassing. Like,
would you rather not talk about it?
Tom was so exhausted that the last few nights he goes, I have to get sleep, so he's been sleeping downstairs in the guest room. I've been sleeping up with Gracie, trying to calm her down, and she hasn't meowed. We shut the bathroom door. She can't get the water there. I have a bowl of water out there. So she stopped meowing, so I'm hoping we're training her. But meanwhile, Tom's downstairs. I'm upstairs by myself, so I set my phone alarm. It's so embarrassing. I know he's probably listening. I'm sorry, honey. I'm calling. And then, his sister-in-law texts me at 12:30 because I'm supposed to take care of her cat for the next couple of weeks. So anyway, I'm like exhausted. Like when I finally fall asleep and Gracie's not meowing, someone's texting me. So I'm tired. I'm sorry I sound like this. And now, Tom's sleeping downstairs because he needs sleep. I do too. Frankly, I need sleep too.
Oh, absolutely.
What is going on here?
Because you're a little moody when you're,
I'm just tired. Yeah, I have short, anyone is when you're like tired.
If we're gonna complain about late night texts, I got one last night also.
Isn't there any kind of etiquette involved?
But it was an important one, though.
What?
It was from Verizon, letting me know that I've used 75% of my bandwidth for the month, and it resets on the 10th, which is 5 more days. But for just $10, I can go to their site, and I can get 4 gigabytes of bandwidth for just $10.
Did you tell them you were going to use the other 25%, telling them how bad Verizon is and how they wake you up in the middle of the night? That's what I would use with my last 25% of gigabytes.
Maybe I will.
Oh, my gosh.
What? Are you kidding me? Couldn't this wait till the middle of the day if you are going to hijack my phone and send these texts to me?
I know if people are up late and they want to get it off their plate, email me then. That doesn't, wake you up right away.
Yeah.
Then send me an email.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Anyway, we're both tired and cranky.
We're going to talk about using human urine on a field for fertilizer. I think I could contribute
right now, but I'll go into the break room.
736-0300 is the number to call. 736-0300 is the number to call here on Top Story. Just wanted you to know that it's coming up tomorrow evening from 5 until 8 o'clock. It is the, I picked up the wrong piece of paper here. Anyway, It's the McCash for Kids. It's going to be going on at the 4 McDonald's stores in Twin Falls County tomorrow evening from 5 until 8 o'clock. The gist of it is you stop by, whatever you purchase, 25% of your purchase will go as a donation from McDonald's to the South Central Community Action Partnership to help buy school supplies for underprivileged children here in the Twin Falls area. So I'm inviting you, everybody, to stop by. Benito and I will be at the Addison McDonald's. They're at the, what do they call it, McChevron?
Do they?
Yeah, I think they do.
I never heard of that.
They're at Addison and Washington Street from 5 until 8 o'clock. So have lunch, have dinner with us.
Yeah.
And 25% of your purchase will go to help the kids get school supplies.
And if you can't eat dinner there, you can always just run in and drop off a donation.
That's right.
And they actually have the donation buckets up now.
Yes.
So if you're going to make a donation, go to the Addison one because that helps our station.
That's right, because all of our town square stations will be there, and we're kind of having a little internal competition. Friendly competition, of course.
Oh, no.
But we want our store to get the most donations.
I just want to know, where did KZJ get their location? Because they've had the Plum one for the last few years.
Not necessarily. We've won. We've been at the main store, and we won last year.
I thought we were short.
No, not last year. We won last year, I believe. If not, it was like just within a few bucks. So, but no, I think we won.
If
okay,
not, that sounds good. There you go.
Here's the deal. How would you feel about eating vegetables grown on a field that was fertilized with human urine? And here's the deal. Human urine contains 3,079 compounds. Some of them are produced naturally in the body. Others of them come from the things that we put in our bodies. Two things that are commonly found in urine are nitrogen and phosphorus, both very useful for fertilizing plants. It's not uncommon for gardeners to pee in the garden or on their compost pile to add these free natural fertilizers to the soil. So this sounds a little gross, but it does make sense to recycle urine for fertilizing gardens or farms, and the practice even has a name. It's called pea cycling. In Vermont, the Rich Earth Institute is looking to turn pea cycling into something more than just people heading out to their gardens after dark and peeing straight under the garden soil. The organization is looking to stop wasting this nutrient-filled human waste on a larger and more organized scale. So they are asking for volunteers to donate their urine to put on the field. And as a matter of fact, the pilot program results have been somewhat encouraging. The 2013 hayfields that used pea cycling for fertilization have dramatically increased yields. And now there are other farmers in that region who are on a waiting list for the urine. In addition to being a useful fertilizer, urine that is kept out of local waterways reduces the need for treatment with harsh chemicals. In 2013, Rich Earth's goal was to collect 3,000 gallons of urine, and it reached that goal with 170 volunteers. The goal is double for 2014, and more volunteers are needed to donate to the program, but you have to live near Brattleboro, Vermont to participate.
Well, why don't the volunteers just drink more? Then they can double the yield.
There you go.
You know, the thing
You're
of it,
a genius,
I
Jill.
know. The thing of it is though, you know, it's interesting because your urine also it'll contain your antibiotics that, you know, it would have to be people, I would think, that aren't on antibiotics, that aren't
organic people.
Or are not on chemotherapy. I mean, that's a problem in our sewer systems right now.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, to me, I can understand that, but if you
like giving blood before you can give your urine, they have to do a blood test
you would
to
think.
see if you have anything bad.
Well, you know what's really gross is they give women Premarin, which is pregnant horse urine, and for hormone pills. Now, if you don't think that is gross, I don't know what is.
Wow.
But yes, they have pregnant horse mares, and they use their urine and give these compounds to women for hormone therapy, which is gross to me. I'm sorry, we're not horses. But anyway, so you know what? I'd rather it come from a human being than from a horse. You know, why not?
I think we have kind of a psychological thing to overcome here first, and that would be eating vegetables from a farm that is fertilized with human waste.
Fertilizing it with animal waste and things
but
animals
are different.
Why is that better?
I think it's psychological. We've eaten animal stuff for centuries, but not human stuff.
Well, it's just another middleman. I mean, you're eating the
understand,
animal, it's going
still,
in your urine, and then you're discharging it.
It's still psychological.
I'm
sorry,
know.
I don't think I want to eat that radish that has been urined upon.
I'll be like, hey, Cal, let me fertilize your field. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Got time for about one call. Top story, you're on the air. What do you think?
I think I just used my calculator, and if they use 170 people per 3,000 gallons, that's 17 gallons per person. That's a little bit over 3 5-gallon buckets. And where do you keep it? Do you store it at your house? What do you do?
I think they do store it, and then they, give it to them. They keep them in their little buckets.
I always heard that they use raw sewage on, you get watermelons from Mexico before we get them from California. I heard they use raw sewage on those watermelon fields.
I've heard that too. See, that's what I say. I think it's kind of a psychological thing. You're going to have to get past before we start eating radishes and stuff from these fields.
But from animals, you're okay? And
I am.
And horse urine for women, something's wrong with that one. Let me tell you.
That's up to you, not me. I'm not a woman.
Give me a break.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Why Certiset, you ask? It's not a new mattress. No, it is a new way of irrigating on your fields. You don't have to move the pipe. You don't have to spray the borders, all of that stuff. This is a special kind of pipe that can be lifted up by a special attachment to your swather. It lifts it up over the header and back behind so you can get in and swath your hay and not even have to move the pipe. And what's nice about that is once you got the hay off, you don't have to send a crew in to put the pipe back in there. Ask them about it at Farmore of Idaho. They can tell you all about it, 324-3341, or at farmoreofidaho.com. Tell them you heard Kelly and Jill talking about, well, at least Kelly, talking about Certiset, and say it's not a mattress. It is a new way of irrigation.
Right.
All right. Farmore of Idaho.
The Democrats' secular progressive move, political correctness is killing us too. They want to take the money from the hard-working man and give it to the lazy folks that don't give a damn. Democrats and liberals, shame on you. Don't punish us all, just to please a few. You're holding people back while we're picking up the slack, and that's why we can't vote for a Democrat. Oh no! Oh no, 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 no,
7360300. Always the number to call. We have Steve Millington with us this morning from the Twin Falls Republicans. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
So what'd you do last weekend?
I went to Boise.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
What's going on in Boise?
Wow, we had a Idaho State Central Committee meeting for the Republicans. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock.
I heard something
yes,
about that.
I'll bet you did.
And, how long did the meeting last, just out of curiosity?
About 3.5 hours.
Oh, really?
3.5 hours to like 5 people?
Well, it's the process by which that's done that took so much time. And so we now have a new Idaho State Central Committee, Idaho State Central Republican Central Committee executive leadership, a chairman, 2 vice chairs, a secretary, and a treasurer. So we are now fully staffed after the judge's ruling a week ago that we don't have any leadership. It all ended when the convention ended, and that sets an interesting precedent as well, Yeah. 2 years from now when we have another convention, one of the first things we better do is elect new leadership, because when the convention ends, the previous leadership is gone.
Yeah.
And that's what the judge, that's what his ruling indicated. So.
And what did you do before? Didn't you like new leadership?
We always had new leadership at every convention. The thing that was awkward about this one is the convention was adjourned before the leadership was elected. So.
But you would have never gotten the leadership elected in this last convention.
Oh my good God!
So you know what I mean. So you're
this process probably had to take place.
Yes. One of the good things was we adjourned the meeting before that got completely out of control.
Yeah.
Up in Moscow.
So do you think
it was out of control anyway? But
well, the ones that were out of control, were some of them at the Central Committee meeting on Saturday?
Many of them were there.
And how did they act? Were they cooperative? Are they happy with the ruling? Are they fine?
The way that the meeting was conducted, there was only it was 5 items on the agenda. Sorry about that. Actually, there was 7 items on the agenda. The first one was to elect a person to conduct the meeting. They call it the meeting chairman. And the second item was to approve an agenda, and then we went through the election of the 5 officers. Now, you nominate, and then you get 2 minutes for a nominating speech, 2 minutes for a second speech, and then 5 minutes from each candidate. So there's 10 minutes for each candidate. And for the chairman chair, we had 3 nominations. So, you just chewed up a lot of time. And the election, from the Central Committee standpoint, is that you must have a majority plus 1 vote. So you had to have 50% plus 1 in order to win. So we had the 3 candidates for chairman. We had the first round of balloting, and nobody got the majority.
Okay.
So the lowest vote getter dropped off the page, and the remaining candidates go to round 2.
So Mike Duff must have been the one that dropped off.
He was the one that dropped off in the first round. And then we had Steve Yates and Doug Pickett, and we went through the voting process again. Well, about the second time they went through the voting process, they said, we had to, and they had it kind of clever. They had different colored paper for each ballot. So the first ballot was green, and the second ballot was red, and the next ballot was blue, and the next one was yellow, and so that you had to turn in the right color or it didn't count.
Yeah.
And they were all pre-printed. We're voting for the chairman, first ballot, chairman, second ballot, vice chairman, first ballot, so forth. So it just took a lot of time. About the time they got to the first vice chair, they said, okay, while they're counting the ballots over here, we're going to take nominations for the next position. So they counted ballots over here instead of just having dead space while we took nominations for the next position.
So who handled the meeting?
The meeting was run initially by Damon Watkins, who is the state committee man.
Oh, okay.
Can we get to hold it right there? We're going into a break.
Hang tight. We'll be right back with Steve Millington. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Before we get back to Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans, just wanted to remind you of the new pawn shop in town. It is Canyon Pawn. It's on Shoshone Street, right across the street from Will's Toyota. And, sometimes when you go into a pawn store, pawn shop, it's kind of, they kind of don't pay a whole lot of attention to sweeping the floors and keeping it clean. But this is different. This is a nice, clean, new pawn shop. And they even have a lot of items on their shelves new in the box. And you can still get a great deal. They still do pawn and that kind of stuff. And they got a whole set of woodworking equipment in there. I was in there last week looking, and
you didn't buy any?
If I didn't already have a set, I'll tell you, I would have been interested in that. They got fishing poles.
Were the prices good? Or
prices were excellent.
You bargain at that point? I've never been in
I
one.
think Dave Hansen, who owns the place, is a pretty good bargainer.
All right.
And if you go in there and you want to make him an offer, you just go ahead and
so
that's
they're not
part of
set
the fun.
prices. There's no set prices on things?
There are prices on the
prices.
items,
Okay.
but still, anything's negotiable. Are you kidding? Especially in a pawn shop. And I think Dave likes to do that. So anyway, give them a call at 933-2600. They're also on Facebook at Canyon Pawn and also canyonpawn.com. So, but I'd stop in. It's that personal touch. Say hi. Welcome to the neighborhood. New pawn store in town. Okay, so Steve Millington. Okay, so all the mechanics aside.
We finally got through all the mechanics. We now have a new chairman. His name is Steve Yates. He's from Idaho Falls. We have a new vice chair who was the previous vice chair, and that's Mike Matthews. He's from here in Twin Falls. The second vice chair is a gentleman named Jim Pierce, and he's from Coeur d'Alene. The secretary was reelected. That's Marla Lawson. And the treasurer was Chris Harriman, and he was reelected.
Okay.
So we got 3 reelected, the first vice chair and the secretary and the treasurer, and 2 completely new ones in the form of the chairman and the second vice chair.
Okay. So how do you think this is going to work out?
Well, I think we can put aside now this process, this distraction, I call it, from what really needs to happen. We need to get on with the process of winning an election, and it's less than 90 days away.
That's right.
So we've got a work cut out for us. We have got to really get the work done in the next 90 days.
And also, you have no platform, apparently, according to
that's correct. You
do the platform at the convention, but you don't have a platform because you didn't.
The platform at the convention was not approved.
Right.
And therefore, according to the judge's ruling, those items on the agenda that were not approved drop to the floor, which means they die.
That's probably good for you guys.
At the present time, we have no platform.
But I always thought that anyway.
Republicans are still known for conservative.
That's right.
And you've got the previous platforms. I mean, it's not
and that's pretty much
my gosh, nobody knows what we stand for now. That's
actually, no one does know what you stand for anyway. But so I think it's probably fitting.
So the fact that any additions or changes or modifications to the platform did not occur at the Moscow Convention does not change the fact that we still have a platform. It's just a carryover of the one from the previous meetings to the current. And there will be a new meeting in January where we have central committee meetings twice a year in January and summer. And so when we have the January meeting, we'll talk again about any modifications or amendments to the platform.
Yeah.
So that's not a big deal.
I know that the Democrats were having a heyday over all this internal strife you were having, but
how could you
now
not?
now that it's kind of a done deal and it looks like you're back on the road again.
Hey, that sounds like a song.
Maybe we should write one.
On the road again.
So, how much effect do you think all this internal strife and how many people were, other than maybe a few Democrats, how many do you think were really paying attention to what was going on with all this deal?
Well, I think that there was a lot of people who were aware of the situation because it was receiving so much media attention. And every time we'd have one of these hiccups in the road, it would be a big blast on the media for a day or two.
And national.
And then it would go away, and we'd have another blast, and then there would be for a day or two. But I think the Democrats would like to keep it on the front page of the paper for a much longer period of time.
Well, I think that
it's gone now, so we'll get down to what are the real issues that we need to be concerned with at this election.
But I think the people that really paid attention is what you need for your midterm elections is your base. Those are the ones that were mentioning things to me, how embarrassing they couldn't believe it.
The ones that look at it and say to themselves, "Oh my goodness, what's going on here?" I think mostly that would be what I refer to as the independent or unaffiliated voters. In Idaho, we don't call them independents; we call them unaffiliated.
Because I heard from
you're
a lot
either
of
affiliated with the Democratic Party or the affiliated with the Republican Party, or I think the election forms say unaffiliated, which is kind of a misnomer if I ever heard one. But anyway, that group of people there are probably the ones who spend the most amount of time looking at these things, or thinking about this kind of a thing and saying, well, what are these people doing? How come they can't get their ducks in a row?
Yeah.
Well, don't you think some of these races, I think you guys are really going to be challenged. I definitely think that the state treasurer race, Ron Crane and Deborah Silver, he's never really responded to any of those charges and the claims
but
from the
that
auditors.
doesn't really relate to this internal strife.
No, but what I'm saying is moving forward for the election.
All the internal strife has created an opportunity whereby the Democrats can point at things very quickly and say, look at this disruption here and look at this disruption here. Now that that's gone, we're going to have to get back to the process of, okay, who's running for which office and what is their stand?
Yeah.
And so now we can get down to what I refer to as the more germane candidate campaign issues. And, it's still early in August, but by Labor Day, we'll be going at this thing hot and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Voters have a short memory.
That's
unfortunately.
Typical. That's very typical.
Yeah.
So, the thing that really is going to point and matter is going to be the October 1st to November 1st campaign function.
How things are in the last few days before the election.
I don't think that the Democrats will just sweep this thing away and be rid of it.
And
they'll bring it up again and again.
Strategically, they would be wrong if they did.
They're going to
because the GOP wouldn't let it go away.
And that's one of the things why I think that it's a good that we finally got this thing resolved and put away, and let's get on with winning in the election.
Do you think this thing that you had, this internal thing that you had, do you think that kind of woke up some of the establishment and thinking, wow, some of these things we've just been taking for granted?
I think there might be a lot of people who have said to themselves, this is not the Republican Party that I used to know. What in the world has happened here? And we may see a lot of these people who have become just kind of inactive.
Yeah.
They may come back and say, tell me what the heck is going on here. How do these kind of things happen?
And how can I get involved to straighten things out?
How can I and where should I get involved?
Do we have a caller? No. It's interesting because, Steve Yates, he's not from here. He was in Maryland. He was an advisor to Dick Cheney. And reading some of the comments at the bottom of the article, some people are like, oh, he's lived here a couple of years. He's an expert in Idaho. Some people wrote, oh, was he the advisor that informed Cheney that torture was a legal American value? You have to wonder, is this going to hurt you really to have someone over the Idaho Republican Party who's really only lived here 3 years and is from
he
Maryland.
moved here in 11.
Yeah. So do you think that was problematic? Because reading some of these comments, I thought people would be like, "Oh,
Well,
he worked for Dick Cheney."
And a little further, just Idahoans are a little bit skeptical of outsiders.
How many times do you hear them say in their campaign speech, "I'm a fifth-generation Idahoan. I'm a fourth-generation Idahoan."
My great
Right.
grandfather.
That's right,
Right.
So do you think people are going to be suspect with the fact that he's not from Idaho?
I think one of the things that he will have to resolve is, I'm here for the long term, and he is extremely bright. I think his work in Washington was primarily with international issues. He did a lot of Asian studies and Asian advising. He worked on Rudy Giuliani's 2008, and he worked on somebody's 2012. I can't remember who it was.
It was 20. Yeah, I remember reading that.
But his focus, I think, is primarily with the Far East, the Asian influence, the Japans, the Chinas, the Taiwans, the Vietnams, that whole Far Eastern corridor.
It sounds like he definitely has the background to be an asset.
I think he has proper training. He's extremely professional and very articulate. His nominating speech never looked at a note. Good eye contact, good presence the entire time. And I thought, well, what else would you expect from somebody who has spent 25 years in the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy?
Yeah.
He's going to have his ducks in a row.
If someone is a Democrat running against Ott or whatever, I mean, Allred, had some problems because he lived out east or whatever, to say 25 years as a Washington insider, you guys would freak out. It's amazing. I was surprised that he got picked.
That's one of the issues.
Do you know what I'm saying? How many times do you hear that? Yeah.
So many people just look at it and say, who is this guy? Where's he from? And what's his
agenda?
I have to admit, and I'm conservative, but I have to admit, from the being outside looking in, I was a little surprised.
I thought of all of them, he was not going to do it.
I thought Doug Pickett might be a shoe-in.
I didn't ever think that Doug was a shoe-in, but I sure liked Doug. He was my preference, my choice. And I feel
was it close? A close vote?
We don't know. The ballot is counted in private, and all they do is say we have a winner or we do not have a winner.
Oh, okay.
And so we don't know what the
now, of course,
count was.
Now, the Steve Yates has promised not to bring his personal influences into this.
He wants to. He doesn't want to superimpose his ideology over the party. He wants to listen to the members, the people, and let their ideas come to the surface.
So the next 2 years will be telling then.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
Now, just an aside, we got just a minute or two. Every summer, the Twin Falls Republicans have their summer picnic, and that will be on Wednesday, August the 13th.
I got to write it down. You know how I never miss that.
Now, I've got your ticket right here, Jill. I'm going to see to it that you get it.
August 13th.
I will be looking for you.
They're how much normally, but you'd probably give her one,
yeah,
right?
She gets one. Yeah.
How much? Where is it going to be?
It's
put
at
in my calendar.
The city park in Twin Falls.
Yeah.
It's $10 a person or $30 a family. And we have got confirmations from Brad Little and Ron Crane and Lawrence Wasden and Lawrence Denny. And we have not heard back from Sherry Yubara, but we think for sure she'll be here. Brandon Wolf will be here. We know that there's a few who will not be because they have conflicts, and we're disappointed about that. But we do have a confirmation that Steve Yates will be here for our picnic on the 13th. So a great opportunity to become acquainted. And, the one good thing about the picnic is it's a very casual environment. You can have a lot of one-on-one time with all of the people that you'd like to talk to and visit with and see what's going on.
Do they make speeches?
There will be microphone time for all of them. So they will all get a few minutes at the mic. And somebody kind of said, "You're going to give all those politicians a microphone. We'll be there till morning." And I said, "No, you won't, because I have the switch on the microphone."
So what do they get for their $10? What kind of food are you having?
We'll have hamburgers and hot dogs and side dishes and desserts and
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
City Park.
City Park.
See if you can get Steve Yates to be on the show.
I will. I'm sorry. I was on the email and texting with him 2 or 3 times yesterday, and I apologize. I did not.
You never
about
think of
getting
us,
him.
do you, Steve?
Well, you know,
All the years
where are
we've
your
had you on.
priorities?
Where's the love?
My priorities fell off a cliff. I'm sorry about that. They're just my emails. And in fact, you guys were kidding and joking about getting text in the middle of the night last night. I had messages and texts and so forth until about 9:15 when I finally just said, I'm done with that stupid telephone. When I went downstairs this morning at 5:30 and started getting ready for the day, I had 10 text messages on my telephone.
At least they didn't come at 12:30 at night.
That's no excuse for not having made arrangements to get him on the show.
Love?
Well, we're out of time, so we'll see you next Tuesday,
yeah,
Steve.
we'll be here.
Bye,
All right, Steve Millington with
thanks.
the Twin Falls Republican. So fracking, is it time for Idaho? Coming up next here on Top Story. Well, welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. Well, we were going to talk a little bit about fracking in Idaho, but that is such an expandable topic. We're probably going to have to wait a little bit about that. Plus, we have a couple of guests. But first of all, we have some breaking news.
Okay, yes. I haven't found it yet.
You haven't found it yet. Okay,
No.
Apparently there's been a commercial airliner that's been diverted on a flight from Detroit to Orlando. It's been diverted to Tennessee for a suspicious bomb on board. So
They've had a lot of crazy people on flights, that they've had to divert lately. And you think, why are they flying? So who knows what's happening here?
So we will keep you updated on that when we find out a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
Right now, we have Amy Lierman and Cheryl Becker from the South Central Public Health District. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back.
So you're here to talk about the closure of the Twin Falls Family Planning Clinic. And we have some other things we want to talk. Like I was telling Jill in the last hour, we don't get you in very often. So now that we have you in, we're going to pick your brain on a lot of things.
Cheryl was so funny because Kelly goes, I guess we'll talk about fracking later. And she goes, I don't know anything about fracking. So, no, that's not. We'll just pick a topic for you guys out of the hat.
Not my topic.
Just talk on it.
Talk about lots of things, but not that.
We're not fracking. Okay.
But you do know something about the closure of the Twin Falls Family Planning Clinic.
That's correct. We have had, since I started working with South Central Public Health District, there has been a Title X or a federal grant to provide family planning services. That grant was awarded about a month ago to the state of Idaho and one other entity, which would cover Twin Falls County only. So the grant that we used to have covered all 8 counties in our region, but we were prevented from using those Title X funds for Twin Falls County now. So we had to close our Twin Falls Family Planning Clinic. Our office is open. We're providing immunizations, environmental services, WIC, all things.
Everything else is
Everything
still in
else
place.
is
You're not having mass layoffs and
we
people
are
going
not,
hungry.
and we've had some confusion among our clients that our Twin Falls office was closing, and it is not closing. Our family planning services.
So what services are you no longer offering that people came to your...
Reproductive
What's
health.
wrong?
My fault.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding you. No, I didn't flip the switches again.
It's hard to get good help, ladies. No. Okay.
I get involved in the conversation, and then I forget to flip the switches, and then I see the phone ringing, and I know what that's all about, and I've got to answer this.
You don't think they have a question?
I am so sorry. I'm embarrassed when I do
hope
this.
everyone enjoyed the dead air. So welcome, Amy Lierman. And
I have to reset an alarm here, so if you would just kind of carry on the conversation.
Okay, so did they hear anything up to this point?
No.
Okay, so there you go. We have South Central Public Health District. We're here with Amy Lierman and Cheryl, and I'm blanking on your name right now. Thank you. The last name.
Cheryl Becker.
Thank you. And you were talking about how your funding has been reduced.
We have had a grant through the Office of Population Affairs for Title X, or our reproductive health clinics, since I started over 30 years ago at our health district. And those funds, that grant came to Idaho about a month ago, covered all of Idaho except Twin Falls County, and that was awarded to another agency. And so we cannot provide family planning or reproductive health services in our Twin Falls office. But we are providing all of our other services, WIC, environmental services, immunizations, all of the services that we normally provide are still in operation. It's just our family planning services that we no longer provide through our Twin Falls office.
So my question is, what services did that cover that women are no longer, or men are no longer going to be receiving? And is there another place in town, or is it just not in Twin Falls County at all?
With that Title X grant, it was awarded to Planned Parenthood. So all of our clients, we are giving them the information. They can go to their own physician. They can go to someplace like Family Health Services, Planned Parenthood, which got the Title X grant. They can go to wherever they choose. We are telling people that if they have insurance, they can look at someplace which will give them all of their medical services, sore throats, if they have a bunion, take care of all of those things as well as their reproductive health needs.
So what was it, just like pap smears? Like what were the things that people are, contraception or what?
Contraceptions, pap smears. We also had a sexually transmitted disease clinic. So we saw women and men for any reproductive health needs. Pap smears, if they needed an IUD, pills, all of those. Plus, if they had an infection, we were able to see them. We also saw women for the women's health check, the pap smears and breast exams.
Right.
We could still do that, but we also have lost our physician assistant who provided our services. So we're providing none of those services right now because we have no provider to do that as well.
So this all begs the question then, how come Planned Parenthood got it instead of the South Central District Health Department?
It was a choice by the Office of Population Affairs. The grant was awarded, and we had nothing to do with it. The grant, there's the agency were through Department of Health and Welfare. The actual office in Boise, through Department of Health and Welfare, applied for that grant through the Office of Population Affairs. They have gotten it, like I say, for 30 years, and then gave it through each of the health districts in Idaho to be a sub-grantee to provide those Title X reproductive health services. And Planned Parenthood applied for the grant like the Health and Welfare did, and they were awarded Twin Falls County to provide services. A couple of years ago, they got some funds, but we still were able to provide services in Twin Falls. Now they applied for all of Twin Falls, and I can't tell you anything about it other than Office of Population Affairs granted them Twin Falls County.
Okay.
So we are prevented
from. The bottom line.
We are prevented from. That was about half of the clients we served was Twin Falls County.
Okay. All right. So, but you're moving on with everything else that you've always done? We're moving on with
everything else just exactly like we have been. August is a pretty busy time for immunizations, back to school. So just as a plug for immunizations, get back in, get your immunizations early. Schools are starting in the next couple of weeks. Some are starting very early, maybe even next week. I think I've heard some that were starting very early. Come in, get your immunizations for your children because there are required immunizations before children enter school. 7th grade, get those before the day before school starts and you're having trouble finding an appointment. So.
Just as kind of a follow-up here, is there a chance that you could get the grant again? Is this handed out yearly?
It was given for 3 years this time.
Oh, okay. So interesting.
Yeah. That's just the way it was awarded. So
well, at least the services are still available, which I'm happy about because there's a huge need, and so I'm glad that women still have access to those services in Twin Falls County.
Yeah, a place like Family Health Services, we've contacted, and they give all kinds of medical needs. So, if a person again has insurance, they can go to their physician, Family Health Services, find all of their needs being met because they now have insurance.
Yeah,
so
which
that's
is
something
nice
to
too.
establish themselves, not just for reproductive health needs, but if they are finding themselves with new insurance, to find someplace where they can have all of their needs met.
Yeah.
So you were saying about the vaccinations, and right now I think the head story or the lead story in the Times News today was about whooping cough, that's on the rise because of people not vaccinating their kids. Do you want to address that?
We have had, over the last couple of months, an increase in pertussis, and we've seen a couple dozen cases in the last couple months. We've seen many of them in Mini-Cassia right now. Last week we had 6 or 8 cases that were reported in Minnetonka. Many of those were unimmunized children, but we have pertussis that is in our community. They call it endemic. It's a disease that's found within the community, and it's mainly unrecognized. Someone may have a cough that just won't go away. They cough and cough and cough and cough. Sometimes they will vomit, cough till they can't catch their breath. They think, oh, it's just something else. It's my allergies. It's who knows what.
But denial.
They attribute it to something else because they don't have a fever.
Right.
They're well until they have these, we call them paroxysmals. They just cough and cough and cough and can't stop. Sometimes they go to the doctor. It's not recognized as pertussis. They go back to the doctor 2 and 3 times, and finally it may be pertussis.
Is this any age?
Any age.
Any age?
Any age.
Amy, any age? I'm going to get you to talk it all.
Any age.
Okay. So adults could have this.
Adults could have it and not recognize it. The most important ones to protect are the children, infants under 1, because it can actually lead to death in infants under 1. That's the most fragile is an infant under 1. They do not have all of their immunizations. And we encourage, if you're having a new baby in your family, get the individuals around them protected. Get them to get their Tdap, their pertussis vaccine. There is a situation, it's called cocooning, is one of the very cute terms that's used, is you've got a baby coming in that family, cocoon, build a fence with Tdap vaccine, pertussis vaccine around that new baby. They can't get their pertussis vaccine right away. Everybody is getting immunized around them, so they're protecting that child. They're putting them in that cocoon of protection so that they can get their immunizations as they get 2 months, 4 months, 6 months.
How much are the immunizations? And is there a place where they can get them if they are low income or can't afford it?
We charge $20 for an administration fee. Every child in Idaho under 19 can get vaccines for the Vaccines for Children program. So the vaccine itself is free. The administration charges $20 to get that immunization. So if you have insurance, it's totally covered.
Right.
So most people they're getting their new insurance, and it's a preventive health service under their insurance, and they can get their vaccines.
But since Governor Otter didn't expand Medicaid in this state, so I've heard there's about 100,000 people that aren't insured. What do those people do? They just roll the dice, right?
They can still come in. We can give them their vaccine, $20. If they can't afford their vaccine, they need to talk to us about that, because we can sometimes do something if they can't afford their vaccine. So they just need to let us know.
Because it's really a public safety issue.
Yeah, they
right?
just needed to let us know that.
We have a caller.
Oh.
7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
I just had one question. I have a son that contacted seizures and autism because of the pertussis vaccine. Are those vaccines safe now to be used, or do they still have the seizures within 7 days in the contraindications?
Tell you what, we're going to let you think about that answer. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Cheryl Becker and Amy Lierman from the South Central Public Health District. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Connie Strunk.
Connie Strunk, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is slide.
Slide.
S-L-I-D-E. Go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on word of the day, type in slide, listen tomorrow, listen for your name. If you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, then you'll win $100, just like that.
That's how easy.
That's right. We have Cheryl Becker and Amy Lierman from the South Central Public Health District today. Started off talking about the closure of the Twin Falls Family Planning Clinic, but there's so much to talk to. And we got a call from an individual who said after his child got the pertussis, and there's some other things that go with that, that immunization, that his child had seizures.
There's a couple of things here. Seizures can come from fevers, and pertussis-containing vaccine years ago was not as refined as it is now. It is called acellular pertussis vaccine now. and it is more refined than it has been in years past. Now, there have been individuals who received immunizations and had high fevers and could have had seizures. You can have seizures from fevers from other illnesses as well. But if an individual has a child that has had seizures, they need to speak to their physician about receiving immunizations, receiving anything. If they have any kind of illness, they need to watch their fevers for the possibility of seizures. But if your child has some kind of medical condition, they need to be speaking to their physician about the appropriateness of vaccines. Most individuals do not have that kind of medical contraindication. Vaccines are tested and safe. All of the vaccines go through a very difficult process of making sure that they are safe and effective for whatever illness that they are trying to protect. We are trying to protect individuals from these diseases that can be very devastating, can actually lead to death. I was talking over the break about I've watched children in the neonatal intensive care, in the intensive care for pediatrics, fighting to breathe because of pertussis. This is a very serious disease, and there was actually a death, I think it was last year, in an infant from pertussis. So this does happen. These diseases are very serious. And the fact that most of these diseases we have immunized, and that has caused a decrease in the number of cases. People haven't seen a case of measles. I've seen measles, probably more measles than most of the doctors in this town. We had some outbreaks back in the 80s with lots of cases of measles. These people are very, very sick with these diseases. If you've never seen these diseases, you don't really know what you're preventing.
So once they get it, if they have pertussis, is there a way to help them? Are there antibiotics that deal with it? Or same with measles? Like if someone says my kid will get it, then they have medicine and they'll be fixed.
With pertussis, they can make you not infectious with the antibiotics. It does not make the cough go away immediately. And that cough may go on for days or weeks. Generally, the individuals will cough for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks with that. It actually does something in your lungs so that it's very difficult for them to stop coughing. They will give them inhalers and these kinds of things to try to stop the coughing, but it does not, like a usual bronchitis, you give antibiotics, a couple of days later, cough's gone, you're good to go. But with pertussis, it actually causes a little problem with your lungs that takes weeks to go away.
Is there lasting damage to the lungs from something like this?
Usually not, but it can take weeks for that to go away.
So how do we, and this was bound to come up, how do we allay the fears of people who won't immunize their children for fear of autism or some other bad thing happening? You just tell them that the one side outweighs the other, the chances of them having problems with pertussis far outweigh the chances of them getting autism from a shot? Or
the studies from autism and vaccines have been totally disproved. So there's lots of studies out there that will tell you that there is no association between autism and vaccines. The information that's out there, you can read that. If you'd like to come talk to us, we'll talk to individuals. If you'd like to talk to your physician, there are specific, like we talked about seizures, there are specific contraindications that an individual may have. But most normally healthy children can receive vaccines and know that they are safe and effective against the diseases, the many diseases that we have that are vaccine preventable.
Are vaccines required? Can parents opt out of them for certain reasons?
You can opt out of getting your immunizations when you go to school. You sign an exemption. For medical reasons, for religious reasons, philosophical reasons, you can actually sign that exemption that you do not wish to receive immunizations. If there is an outbreak...
Okay, stand by. We'll be right back. Can you hang on for another segment?
Sure.
All right, we'll be right back with Cheryl Becker and Amy Lierman from the South Central Public Health District.
Amy.
736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And if you if you find yourself in need of a low and honey loader, say you have a large feedlot or dairy operation, lots of livestock in a small space, then you might need a low and honey loader, which loads all types of manure, liquid, frozen, and dry, and does it up to 7 miles an hour. Okay, so you got a lot of manure to haul, to get out of the way, take to a place where it'll do some good. You need to talk to Pat Hartzell from Stanley and Company, because he can make an appointment with you to be at one of these feedlots where they use the low and honey loader, so you can actually see it in operation. You can talk to the owner, you can kick the tires, you can open the doors, and you can look at it, and you can see what makes it tick. So give Pat a call at 280-1167, and he can line you up. That is Pat Hartzell, 280-1167 with Stanley and Company. So Amy Lierman and Cheryl Becker are our guests this morning from the South Central Public Health District. Before the break, you were talking about if there is an outbreak.
If there's an outbreak of any kind of vaccine-preventable disease, a school can have the ability to send home those individuals who are not immunized. And we've done that once in my 30 years with South Central Public Health. We had an individual, some individuals in a school district that were not immunized against measles. We had a measles outbreak at that time. They gave them information: if you are not immunized at this point, then we will send you home and you will stay home to protect you against that particular illness that's going through the school. So anyone who did not have that immunization, it's just protecting them.
Yeah.
Because if they are not immunized, we know it. There's cases in the school. They could develop it if we don't protect them. And so there is the potential to just send them home until the outbreak is over to protect them. And
but if the kids get the outbreak, are those the ones who aren't immunized or the ones who are?
There was an outbreak of unimmunized.
Unimmunized.
It was going through the community. And in order to protect the ones that are not immunized,
right?
So the
school knows who those kids are.
Yes, and that's the other thing is that they each year report on how many are immunized in their classroom setting in the schools. How many are immunized, and it's reported to the Department of Education.
So is it going up or down? I mean, are more people not immunized? Yeah. Are number of not immunizations going up? That doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying.
I can't tell you the exact numbers that we have.
But do you see the trend going up or down?
I don't think it's moving a lot either direction. We're trying to get it to move towards the opposite, knowing there are less and less people unimmunized. Because we want to prevent, we have to get an immunized school-age child to keep it out of the schools, keep out of the outbreaks in the schools. So, we're trying to protect the children from these severe consequences of these vaccine-preventable diseases. The other thing is if they get it at school, they bring it home to their unimmunized 2-month-old sibling.
Yeah.
That's where we want to protect them. They are in close quarters in school with lots of other children. Lots of diseases can be spread, colds, coughs, all kinds of things. But any vaccine-preventable disease that spreads through a school comes home, and it's spread to the people at home. And that's who we want to protect most, are those infants.
Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past few weeks, everybody knows there's an Ebola outbreak in the world. Does that have an effect on us or in the way that you, as a public health nurse, do your job here in the Twin Falls area?
Have people been calling?
I don't think that we've had calls, but what we do, anytime there's an outbreak of anything, we have what's called a health alert network. And we have our physicians, healthcare providers, specific people on that list that there's a fax. We can do fax, texts, whatever. Get that information out to those healthcare providers so they have information. And we've been doing that over the past week about Ebola, giving the healthcare providers information about here are the symptoms. Should they, for some reason, think they have someone just has come back from Africa and they've got a stomach ache and they've got a fever, what kind of symptoms do we watch for in those individuals and who do we call? So we've been giving that information out to the healthcare providers in case they were to see something like that. It's just the same as if there's an outbreak of any kind of maybe a foodborne illness, we give that information. If somebody has been in another state and they're part of an outbreak, we can give that information to healthcare providers. If they see someone that was in that other location that has symptoms of that particular illness.
What are the symptoms? Amy, do you want to tell us the symptoms? Do you know the symptoms of Ebola? No, okay, I'm just checking.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll find out the symptoms so you will know if you have Ebola, right?
I know.
All right, we'll be right back here on Top Story. 7360300, the number to call. 7360300 is the number to call with public health nurse Cheryl Becker. We're going to find out everything you wanted to know about Ebola, but didn't know who to ask. So what are the symptoms?
Unfortunately, flu-like symptoms to begin with. And I'm sure everybody saw in the paper this doctor that came back started out with abdominal pain and fever. So some
people say I have that every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of a perfect storm because that's when you're contagious, right? And you think all you got is the flu.
Yeah, and that's probably what happened. Know nothing about the situation, but that businessman that flew someplace, he probably thought he had the flu and flew somewhere on the airplane, and then unfortunately had something much, much worse. That's why they are checking individuals at the airport, asking them questions, probably taking temperatures. They did this through the SARS outbreak. Took temperatures in the airport just to make sure that you were not sick before you got on the airplane. So, these are symptoms that may mimic another illness early on, but then you get the more drastic symptoms like the hemorrhagic, the bleeding that the individuals get. So if an individual, the first thing that a doctor here would look at is, have you been someplace like Africa? If you've just been in Twin Falls and no place else and you're complaining about stomach pain and a fever, it's probably stomach pain and a fever. You may have some kind of illness that you got
They
here.
could be around someone who has been. Like I said, my nephew's wife's from Sierra Leone, and she just went back for her father's funeral about a month or so ago. And that's one of the
that would be a red flag, right?
Again, you're looking at someone who was directly involved, was directly in someplace in Africa.
Yeah.
That would be the first place that the doctor would ask.
Yeah.
Have you been somewhere where you could have been exposed to this? Because they're not going to go straight to, I think, you're from Filer and you've never been outside the United States. And I'll bet you have Ebola and we're going to stick you in isolation. No, they're going to think that you have salmonella.
No, I already live in Filer. I'm fine.
Yeah, you've got salmonella because you've been eating raw eggs. And you've got a fever and you've got diarrhea because that's what's the problem. They're going to go straight there instead of, I think you've got something terrible. We're going to, we've given this information to the doctors. We keep them updated on information so that they'll know what to look at. But the first question is, were you someplace where you could have been exposed to this disease? If you haven't been someplace where you could have been exposed, I'm going to go to something that is way more familiar, way easier to pick up and find out what's going on.
So the people who are coming to the United States, the two, one was a doctor, one was a missionary, I believe, and being treated for that in the United States. A lot of people are concerned about that. Should there be a big concern, or are you confident that they can keep that confined?
They shouldn't be concerned because you saw the suits they're wearing. Those things are checked and checked and checked. We don't have the pinholes that you see in these movies. These are checked. These are self-contained so that they will not be able to interact with anyone.
But then you wonder, how did they get it to begin with? Because they've been in those things. I think the missionary was the one putting people in it, and you think, okay, you're wearing that. How did he get it or she get it?
But you have to look
they're
at the
around
fact,
it. They're experts.
Yeah, you have to look at the fact that the conditions in those countries are very difficult, very poor. They have the tents, they have the suits, but when they have to leave that and go back to the more than likely grass hut where they lived most of the time, they may have some better compounds for the missionaries, but if they were visiting the people in the villages, they may have, again, thought that they had something else. They didn't.
I think I would just keep my suit on 24 hours, don't you think, Cal? I would just
that would be about the only way.
That would be it.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
That would be about the only way that you could make sure, because they have to go back to the very primitive, sometimes very primitive conditions in these villages. They can't be in the suits 24/7, 365. Right. And eventually they're going to have to go out into the community. They may have found someone that was very minimally sick, didn't know it. Who knows what the circumstances that happened, but they can't be in that suit 24/7.
So, Amy, you want to tell us about your website and Facebook and things like that for people and get some information?
Well, let me just say, first of all, when I come on here with Cheryl, I love it because she's a wealth of information, and I can just kind of kick back and enjoy your presence.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's great.
I always want to try to get you involved.
Well, she's wonderful, so she can cover it. Yeah, we have a great Facebook page that we just put some information about Ebola on this morning, so that's good. So follow us or like us on Facebook. We're on Twitter.
And people may wonder why here. Well, it's like Cheryl said earlier, we're only a plane flight away from something like that.
Yeah, and we like to keep people informed and stuff. So we've got a great website, phd5.idaho.gov. We've got great information on everything we've talked about this morning, immunizations, Ebola, all of that. So we encourage people to visit our website.
And then can they call if they have specific questions?
Sure. Call 737-5900. We'll put you in touch with a nurse or Cheryl.
And where are you located in case people want to pop in and see you?
We are on the CSI campus. We're on the west side of the CSI campus.
Okay,
okay. So it's easy to get to.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice area.
Very easy to get to.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in today and telling us about this because every once in a while it's nice to be able to get caught up on some of this stuff because we kind of think sometimes, oh gosh, we're all going to die. We're all going to die.
And next time we'll talk about fracking. What do you think, ladies?
Right. We'll
so bone up on that, yeah.
We'll brush up on our fracking.
Thanks for coming in. Always informative.
And it's time for the Huckabee Report. And you can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. Now, I have emailed Ray Massey.
Yes.
Our winner of the free lunch with Kelly and Jill at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center and a ride in the limousine.
That's right.
This morning. So hopefully we'll be hearing back from Ray to see when he can go to lunch with us, he and a guest.
Hopefully he won't say, oh, does Jill have to go too? No, we've always had nice winners.
Yes,
it's always been
have.
Fun.
And if you would like to sign up for a chance to win a free lunch with Kelly and Jill at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center, where they have a great view and great food and great help.
They do.
Then just go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on the link, says Win Lunch with Kelly and Jill.
And
type in your info and wait for your name to be pulled out of the hat.
That's
possibly.
That's it.
That's right. That's all you got to do. Also, just inviting you to tomorrow night, the McCash for Kids. We're going to be, our Town Square media stations will be posted at the various McDonald's stores around the area, Buell and the 3 Twin Falls locations.
Mm-hmm.
Benito and I will be at the Addison and Washington McChevron station.
McChevron.
And anything you buy there to eat between 5 and 8 o'clock, 25% of the proceeds will go to the South Central Community Action Partnership to help purchase school supplies for underprivileged children here in the area. So, come on by and we'll have fun, make a donation. If you don't want to eat or can't eat, make a donation. Just stop and say hi and we'll visit and have fun.
And more importantly, if you can't be there tomorrow night, you can go by the McDonald's now and put a donation in there. Go to the Addison one so Clicks wins.
Yeah, that's right. Go to the Addison one. So News Radio 1310 KLIX, Kelly and Benito will be the winners. Now, we were the winners last year at the main store there at Hayburn and Blue Lakes. But now we want to switch it around a little bit. Bill Kyle said, we want to switch around because, that's just it. He felt that with me and Benito, being at the store at, Hayburn and Blue Lakes, that was an unfair advantage for that store. So he's going to move us this time to the Washington and Addison McChevron store. Okay?
That's right.
So there you go. I think that's only fair.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I hate to be an unfair disadvantage or an unfair advantage to the other Town Square stations. So we'll see what happens.
Do they realize who they're dealing with?
I
Kelly
don't
Class.
think so.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully tomorrow's hump day. I can't believe
already.
it.
We'll be back with the State of the City and a lot more. So we'll see you then. Have a great day, Jill.
Bye, Cal.